And I want to talk about, from an implementation perspective, what we're hearing people give us for reasons to be purchasing a CRM or be working with them. And this isn't just dealers. This actually is a combination of what I say is about 15, almost maybe 20 years of research working with an assortment of industries and trying to take all the data that we hear, or the information we hear from them about why they're moving forward or why they want to do something and what their best practices are, and trying to sum that up to kind of share it with you guys so you understand what other people are dealing with. This is a big one that you guys can probably relate to: accountability. A lot of times when somebody buys either our package or we have another business that does off-the-shelf implementations, one of the first things they're looking for is some sort of accountability. I don't know what people are doing, and they don't know what I'm doing, and because of that, there's this loop that's constantly going, where we're all trying to understand what is it that everyone else is doing. We don't know what they did last. We don't know if they completed what we asked them to, that kind of stuff. Coverage. You all have a lot of customers. You wonder, certainly, are they being contacted or called? Along those lines, we have participation as well that we hear about. Are you getting in on deals? So it's great that you're out calling people, but are you actually moving the sale forward? Customer loyalty is pretty self-explanatory. Are they buying all of their stuff from you? A lot of people see that, oh, so-and-so bought a tractor from us, but they bought this other piece from us, or they don't do their parts and service with us, or they do their parts and service, but they don't buy their whole goods. Why is that, and how do we get all the business? Efficiency is a no-brainer. Everyone's looking for this to some degree. How do we get people to produce more without having them to spend more time working? And then the next logical one that we're hearing more and more of these days is predictability. We want to know what's going on out in the field so that we can make good decisions. We can start to predict where our customers are going. Now, that may be a little bit of a pipe dream, but at least a better understanding and being able to make educated decisions rather than just guessing, oh, I should be ordering 10 pieces of this year, or these new parts, just based on what your gut feel is rather than what's really happening in the marketplace. So when any one of these situations occurs, I'm sure one of those had to have resonated with you, if not all of them. People come back and they say, I need a system. I need to track all of this data right now. That's the first response. And I'm sure you guys can relate to this. You probably felt like this at some point where you go, I feel out of control. I don't know what's going on. The only way that I know to deal with this is I want everybody to start loading their information in so that I can figure this out. I can start to sort through it. Because of that, they go to systems. They grab the system, and they usually focus on functionality. Now, this is a really important point. By functionality, I mean like bells and whistles, things that you would like it to do. And over the course of the last 15 years or so, I've been involved in a lot of implementations where almost every single one of them starts the same way. We walk in, somebody's already kind of made up their mind about what product they're going with, or at least they've narrowed it down, and they slide across the table this big list, either Excel spreadsheet or PowerPoint, of all the things that it has to do. And it's all functionality-based kinds of things. There's nothing in there about why or the problem that they're addressing. It's all about what the system must do. And that's typically what we see. Management buys it. They say it's going to do all these things. They configure it. They work with a consultant. They put it all together. And then we move into training mode. This is where things start to go really wrong. They get everybody into a group setting like this. They sit them all down with their computers, and they show them everything in the system. This is all the stuff that it does, A to Z. They don't even talk to them about all the other prior discussions about why they're doing this. They just show them the system. Everyone walks out, they're kind of scratching their heads, but they're given the one directive of, you need to now go in and load everything that we're talking about with these customers into the system. So all your interaction, we're not going to be specific about it, we're just going to say everything that happens, go please load that in. Well, what immediately occurs after that is people start running reports. And the first thing they identify is, what didn't you do? Who didn't you call? What didn't you do when you were in the call? What deals are you missing out on? All these things. Well, just think about that for a second. Those are good discussions and important things to identify, but if someone were presenting you all the time with the things that you didn't do, didn't accomplish, would you have a positive feel about it? And this applies to any implementation of any technology at all. So I'd encourage you guys to think about this in terms of, it could be a business system or anything. Don't focus always on what's not done. Find a way to focus on what I'll talk about later, future or planning type kinds of things. It changes the discussion and changes people's feeling about what you're trying to implement or change. You get to a point where resentment grows and everything's kind of backfiring, and at some point you just kind of go, what in the world are we doing here? Because you've completely lost sight of it, because it's all about, are they typing the keys in and entering stuff into the system? There's no actual vision for what's supposed to be done. So we'll talk about where it went wrong here. First thing is, let's look at accountability, coverage, participation, loyalty, efficiency, and predictability. Are those the real problems? Or are they a symptom or something higher up in the food chain, so to speak, something that you're just seeing that's visible? Is there something deeper down? There's certainly issues, things that need to be addressed. We need to have these things in place to be an efficient organization. But I would make a strong argument that these are not the real problem to be looking at. They're not the goal or the objective.